Okay, up next on the MARR Army Rock Show, I'm excited to have Jay Powell back on the show. I say back on the show. He's been on the show before, but coming on tonight with some very exciting new news. He is in a band now called Bleeding Black. They have an album that is about to drop on April 4th. Jay, welcome back to the show.
Thank you very much, buddy. It's going to be dropping on April 2nd, actually.
I'm sorry, April 2nd, so that's even
right.
though. So like I said, welcome back. Now, you're a new band, but you're by no means new musicians. So why don't you kind of introduce folks a little bit to Bleeding Black and how you guys came together?
Okay, well, Barcode was one of our last shows. Actually, ended up being Shally Acres a couple of years ago when we were playing with Hell Yeah, Tantric, and Saliva. Cool show, and then not long after that, we sort of split up over some, internal issues, and then, Tim, the lead guitar player, and I kind of migrated over, and we wanted to, put something together, so he has, there's a guy I used to play with a long time ago in another band called Ghost Smack Alice named Alan Lind. He's a very good drummer, and he is also a recording engineer. He's quite a good recording engineer. And so I contacted him, and we started the core of the band that way. And we just started, searching out players that we knew. We wanted to get the best players we could. So we got that all around. The whole band, I'll tell you who they are. There's me, and then there's Tim Arts, guitar player. Alan Lind is the drummer. Rick Alger is our bass player. You may have known him from some things he's done in the past. And also there's the youngest guy in the band, his name's Kyle Luttrell. He's the other guitar player. And very, very wide open kind of guy, man. He's a really cool player. When you come watch this dude live, it's a lot of fun to watch. And, but anyway, so we got together as originally, we were just gonna jam some covers and just do classic, more classic stuff like Thin Lizzy and Rush and stuff like that. Ended up, being an originals band. I mean, we do a lot of that stuff. We'll hop on stage and we'll do old Deep Purple and so forth, but, we are pretty much always ready to hit you with a good set of original music now, and, when we pull that stuff out on any audience, it seems to go over instantly. But I think that was the whole idea, make real music, man, not a lot of the production line stuff that you hear coming off the radio now. And
yeah, so, hey, let me ask you, does the new album have a name yet? I didn't find a name out there, or are you not allowed to say?
No, it's just going to be a self-titled album called Bleeding Black. Okay. It's going to have, obviously, original music. We did throw a couple remakes on there, though.
Yeah, I'm going to ask you, let me ask you about them in just a second, but I want to touch on something you were just talking to, because my next question I have for you, I was really drawn, first of all, to the tune, Die, and one of the things I really liked about it, and listening to those bands you were just kind of mentioning that are, of the era and the style, I was immediately drawn to, some late, Black Sabbath, Dio kind of era Sabbath. So can you talk a little bit more about that vibe? Is that the vibe of the whole record for people that are going to pick it up?
I guess it starts that way. Each song kind of had its own personality when it was coming out. You listen to what's probably going to be one of the singles off the album called The Freight Train of Pain. It's really pretty tongue-in-cheek, actually. The riff started out sounding like a Thin Lizzy song. And we're big fans of all kinds of old music, and we're kind of just bringing up old stuff and trying to polish it into something new, I guess. But you'll notice Freight Train of Pain starts out Thin Lizzy, ends up Guns N' Roses. Yeah. And as you go through the album, you'll hear some Iron Maiden galloping in the album. There's just influences coming from everywhere, but as a whole, the album is really solid. It's really
you guys placed like a 12-minute song in the middle of that thing, and it's kind of a cool tune. I was listening to it this morning called Never Enough, and talking about a long journey of different styles of music. And you wrote down somewhere in your bio, it talks about a terrible chapter in our recent history. Can you elaborate a little bit more about that tune?
Well, it is actually. The subject matter of the song itself is about the Baltimore riots, and the whole point to that was, okay, so the establishment has done something to you. Now you're going to stand there and shoot yourself in the foot and look like a real idiot, and break and burn your own town down because you're mad at somebody. You know, there's injustice all over the world. We live in a society where it's just the norm anymore. And if you cannot control your reaction to it, if you are incapable of that, the race is over, son. And that's just how it is. And so that was written pretty strongly. And musically, it goes through almost sounds like Dream Theater would have done it.
Yeah.
And you know, we're all big fans of them too, you know. And well, I mean, I could take you through the song verbally, but it's probably better to listen to it and hear how many styles are puking out of it.
That was my takeaway from it. Hey, so you alluded to it earlier. I didn't mean to cut you off. You were talking about there's two, not one but two cover tunes on this. So and they're ones that when people hear the kind of style of music we're talking about might be a little surprised at what they are. So why don't you tell people a little bit about the two covers? Well,
we are fans of all kinds of music. I love the Police, and we were doing this song in our shows, and we said, no, why don't we record it, man? We kind of have our own thing going on. And Synchronicity 2 by the Police has always been really probably one of my favorite songs by them, man. It starts out with a real strong driving thing with Sting going, yeah. And so I had to do that too. The other one, the first band I ever listened to when I was a kid was the Beatles. That's the core of everything that I built onto. You know, as I came up, I was into Kiss, Iron Maiden, Seven Dust, you know, whatever really appealed to me.
And the Beatles, man, it's so funny you just thought of that, because I could have made that exact same statement you just made, that like my first like rock I heard was the Beatles from this very same band.
Well, so what we did, actually I recorded this song a long time ago with another band, but we created a real take on it. It's my favorite Beatles song. We redid Eleanor Rigby as well. And when you hear that, even if you're an old Beatles fan, I think you'll appreciate what we've done to it. We spent a surprising amount of time figuring out exactly how we wanted to present that thing. And I think it's one of the best things on the album.
Yeah, I can only remember like one other heavy band covering that tune in my recent, and not even recent memories, like back in the 80s, a band called Sacred Right did that tune, but it's been a long
man,
time.
I remember them.
Yeah, I like what you did with it. And then, hey, part of the other diversity of the record is there's an acoustic tune on there as well called The Right Mood. Now, are you thinking of doing any other tunes acoustically, or any perhaps even performing that way?
Maybe in the future. We were talking about it. I like having a nice environment like that where you're lighting candles, you have bongos and acoustic guitars and nothing else, you know. That creates a really nice mood. And, now the subject matter of that one, as far as lyrically, that's just about breakups. And I recently went through a little something myself there, and it was really a good time to write a song about it. So that kind of throws a bow on the package. But in the future, you may actually see some more of that stuff. We may end up putting out an entire album of that stuff eventually, because I don't know, I really love playing acoustically. If you know me personally, you know I play a lot of acoustic shows by myself because it's fun to do. It's the closest you can get to people. You know, when you're on a stage with a band, you kind of have this wall of separation. And when you're playing, just sitting amongst people and playing, that's kind of the element that's the element of music, man. For me, that's what I really love is connecting with other people 2 feet away from me.
Yeah, some of my favorite concerts I've ever been to have been some acoustic shows, just like you're describing, man, and seeing somebody up there doing that kind of stuff. Hey, so tell us about the release party for the CD, man. I know it's April 2nd. You want to tell folks about where that's going to be?
Yes, sir. Winchester, Virginia, April 2nd at Blue Fox Billiards. This has always been a great venue for us. You know, we've done a lot of shows with nationals. I have in the past, and it's the best venue. It's kind of the home for a lot of the rockers here in this area. And so it'll be on April 2nd, about 9 o'clock, and we'll be selling the CD and T-shirts, and I'm sure somebody's going to get drunk and do something silly. So come out and watch it, folks.
So, for folks now, of course, folks that are in the Winchester, that Western Maryland, Southwestern Pennsylvania area, go to the Blue Fox on April 2nd. For those listening globally around the world, where's the best place to pick up the CD on April 2nd?
Go to bleedingblack.com, and it'll tell you where to go. We'll probably be selling right on our site, though. Instead of sending people straight off to iTunes, we'll probably be selling our release just straight off of our site.
Okay, so it's bleedingblack.com, and it's going to be available April the 2nd. And, hey, man, one last thing before I let you go today. Am I going to see you at Shiley Acres this summer? I know they just put a show up there. I'm not, I don't know if you guys are playing, but, I mean, do you go to shows out there still, just as a fan?
Yeah. I can't really say anything yet, but, yeah, there's a possibility there, yes.
Hey, so we won't make you violate anything, and I didn't have any inside scoop when I asked that question, but I always look forward to being out in it's right in your backyard, I think. So I like being in that part of the country, seeing music out there all the time. So yeah, J-Pal, everybody. The album drops April 2nd, not as I first said, the 4th, and the album is called Bleeding Black, self-titled Bleeding Black. They're out of Winchester, Virginia, and you're gonna hear some tunes on the show tonight. There's a couple that are floating around out there on the YouTube right now. You can check it out in advance of the release. So get out there and check them out. They're Bleeding Black. Jay, thanks for being back on the show again, man.
Man, thanks for having me, brother.